Greetings. This is General CJG here, coming to you with, episode 3 of the Kenobi Show. And boy, this is gonna be one hell of an interesting one to discuss. So, joining me here, I got...
This is the Spotify Maniac.
We got Dolan here ready to, rumble, I guess. And we also got...
Jedi Luke Warren.
Yep, so we're tackling this one. So without further ado, let's get into episode 3. Okay, so this episode, it begins with, basically, it starts where we left off. Obi-Wan and Leia arrive to this planet called Maboso, if I recall that was the name of it. And they're basically supposed to arrive to a specific contact that was assigned by the fake Jedi from the last episode. And so to pretty much get to him, they go there and try to get in touch with him. Meanwhile, back on Mustafar, Darth Vader is pretty much suiting up and getting ready to discuss with the third sister that Obi-Wan is alive and the Grand Inquisitor who has incapacitated. And Vader is like, forget the Inquisitor. Let's just focus on Kenobi at this point. Which, oh boy. I mean, so much for explaining how the Grand Inquisitor is coming back. You know what? I'm going to call it right now, guys. I think it's going to be explained in a book. I don't think this show's going to bother with it. What do you guys think of that?
I mean, I think the Grand Inquisitor might actually appear in the later episodes, but they won't explain anything. They'll just act like the Grand Inquisitor will say something like, "Do you think it was that really easy to get rid of me or something, third sister?" And then no explanation is given.
So basically kind of like Darth Maul, but even more no explanation. That's going to be something. Look, what do you think?
Obviously, the Grand Inquisitor's return should be explained in the show itself. However, this wouldn't be the first time that you have to go cross-media to get a key answer for something in the new canon, if that happens.
Yeah, so that blows. So there is that. Anyway, so then we go back to Obi-Wan and Leia. They're pretty much walking in Maboso. They're taking a look at the mining planet. They see some Imperials and some farmers pretty much just working and doing stuff. And Obi-Wan and Leia, they get fake identities that they're farmers there and just basically just taking a walk or something. And so they continue to walk. And there is this one point where Obi-Wan has like a very brief vision of a hooded figure on the horizon, who's that hooded figure?
Hayden Christian.
Yep, it's basically Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker. Which, yeah, that's the only time we've seen Hayden Christensen in his non-Vader armor or non-skin burnt look. Like, that's the only time that we see him in this show. Do you guys think we're going to get more of that or not possible?
I mean, they should give us a flashback during the prequel era.
Maybe Clone Wars.
And what I mean by flashback, I mean original scenes filmed for the show, not recycled scenes from the trilogy.
Yeah, that's basically an idea that I was thinking of a while back. That what if we had Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen in the TCW outfits and basically doing an original Clone Wars battle? That would be sick. So that'd be something. So yeah, so then that happens, and the third sister, she arrives at the Fortress Inquisitorius to inform the other Inquisitors of her mission, that she's been put in charge of the hunt for Kenobi, and so they send out the probe droids, and the other Inquisitors, they reluctantly agree to the third sister being the temporary leader, and so they send out the probes, and so that goes. So yeah, that's pretty much what happens at the beginning. So what do you guys think of this?
I mean, Vader doesn't really seem to care about the Grand Inquisitor not doing his job or disappearing. So that's that.
Yeah, there is that. Luke, what do you think of the beginning?
I think it's good. With the Grand Inquisitor out of the way, all the remaining Inquisitors want is just the leader position for themselves.
Yeah, indeed. So, yeah. As for me, well, I mean, I think it was done fine. I laughed when I heard that they literally didn't give a shit about the Grand Inquisitor. So, yeah, that was my reaction. So, yeah, I definitely was a bit impressed seeing Hayden Christensen with Jedi robes, no mask, no burn skin. That was cool. So, yeah, indeed. So anyway, then we get into Mabuso, where Obi-Wan and Leia, they reach the rendezvous point, but they find that there's no contact, nobody there to be found, and so instead what they do is they pretty much ask for a ride from a certain alien that's driving to the nearest spaceport. And so the alien agrees and they climb the back. And Obi-Wan was a bit skeptical of the ride because apparently it has an Imperial banner in it. So that gave him a bit of chills. Then along the way, they're pretty much talking how the alien is like an Empire supporter. And Obi-Wan and Leia, under their names Luma and Orden, they pretty much agree just to avoid suspicion. And then there's one point where they literally stop and they, let's just say that a squad of stormtroopers want to ride to the next base. Oof, that definitely amped the stakes a bit. Stormtroopers start questioning Obi-Wan as if he's a minor or something. He denies it. He claims a farmer. And Leia gives the troopers a reason they came to Mapuso, that is her mother's homeworld, and tried to corroborate. Obi-Wan, for a second, he accidentally revealed Leia's real name, like saying Leia, and Stormtroopers are like, "You called her Leia," and everyone's like, "Oh, that's just the name of my deceased wife." So, to calm the shit down, and Stormtroopers believe it, so thank God for that. So, yeah. And the alien driver, he gets to the area where the Stormtroopers need to go, and the Stormtroopers leave. So Obi-Wan and Leia, they continue being in this transport. So, yeah. And Obi-Wan, there is this one point that he tells Leia that he himself vaguely remembers his own parents because he was a baby when the Jedi Order took him. And he also said that he wished that he was Leia's real father, probably because, he knows who her real father is, who right now is the second most evil man in the galaxy. So, yeah. Indeed. And, well, that's what happens in there. And so, yeah. What do you guys think of this section?
So the interesting part we can see from here is there are aliens who actually support the Empire. So here's the thing some people seem to not understand. They say, why would some aliens, be in support of the Empire? I mean, we know that the Empire doesn't really like aliens in most cases, right? Mm. But here's the thing people seem to not know. There are aliens who support the Empire because, there are aliens who are actually getting benefits from the Empire. We actually don't know what this alien is, but he seems to have a positive relationship with the Stormtroopers, according to what I see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seems to be the case indeed. So, yeah. Look, what do you think?
The reveal of the Imperial banner on the back of that farmer's tractor, or whatever you want to call it, was a surprise, and the conversation between Obi-Wan and Leia in this sequence is probably one of the best moments of the show, particularly when, as you said, General, Obi-Wan talks about his vague recollections of his own family. And I actually wonder, is anything of the sort ever mentioned in the classic EU?
Okay, so technically it was. So in Return of the Jedi novelization, it mentions that Obi-Wan has a brother, which was Owen at the time. And then in the Jedi Apprentice books, Obi-Wan had some kind of a vision where he remembered having a brother called Owen. Now, there was actually retcon in the future saying that, oh, this brother called Owen, he's technically Obi-Wan's brother because, well, Anakin was Obi-Wan's brother, Jedi brother, and Owen was Anakin's stepbrother. So in some kind of a way, Obi-Wan did consider Owen to be his brother or something. It does that.
I actually remember that Owen did have a brother, but it wasn't Owen Lars. It was another Owen. I actually heard that was the reason. The retcon reason.
No. The retcon itself is that Obi-Wan knew what this Owen brother meant. Was actually not seeing his past, but some kind of a weird future reference.
Okay, fair enough. Well, in that case, then there is that. So, yeah. So there's your answer, Luke. So, yeah. As for me, well, I like this part where Obi-Wan and Leia were in the transport, the stormtroopers being there asking questions, and Obi-Wan blurting the word Leia. That definitely, I was like, oh, goddamn. So that did give me that reaction. So it was that. It was pretty cool. Then we get to, well, the Baco arriving to an Imperial checkpoint, and this is where shit starts to get bad. Because apparently the troopers, they wanted to interrogate the alien he's like, oh, they're strangers. I think you should check them out. So the alien kind of gave them away, which not cool because that ended up with Obi-Wan being forced to pretty much get his blaster out and kill them all. Which,
well, to be honest, the alien might have actually heard the conversation between Leia and Obi-Wan. And Obi-Wan and Leia didn't really seem to be careful about their conversations, despite the fact that someone was driving the vehicle in front of them. They were really careless.
Maybe I actually didn't see if the alien could listen, but you know what, could be true. So yeah. So basically, yeah, Kenobi dispatches the troops. Right as a probe droid was scanning Obi-Wan's face. He managed to destroy the droid, but the droid did manage to get feed to the Inquisitors, which, yeah, they're on their way. So yeah, and then a trio of stormtroopers arrives with an Imperial officer, but the troopers were murdered by the Imperial officer. It turned out that it was the fake Jedi's contact. So the fake officer, Tala, pretty much takes Obi-Wan and Leia out of there so they can pretty much escape. And so that's what they do. They pretty much get into a nearby settlement, and they have to keep a low profile for a bit of a time until one of the pilots can take them off-world. And they seek shelter in Tala's workshop, where she pretty much reveals that she secretly works to help Jedi and other Force sensitives. Even at one point, Quinlan Boss was also one of those that she helped. So, yep, as revealed behind her workshop, where there's apparently Jedi living signatures and stuff in the wall. So, yeah.
Another example is you could see the name Altis written in Orvax.
What does that mean?
You don't know Altis?
Not much, no.
Callista's master.
Oh, yeah, that explains it. I have not read the Callista trilogy. Okay, so, yep. Then Tala also revealed that she used to believe in the Empire, but grew disillusioned when the regime became increasingly totalitarian. So, yeah. And, oh, well. We'll get into the next part, because this is where the episode really goes down the shithole. So before we get to that, so guys, what do you think of basically all of what I said in regards to Kenobi dispatching the stormtroopers, the fake officer pretty much rescuing them and showing them her workshop? What do you think of all that?
The annoying thing I found is, like, Obi-Wan refers to Quinlan Boss as Quinlan. Other than, like, if you watch TCW, Obi-Wan considers Quinlan Boss to be weird, and he doesn't really consider him as friend and a guy he's, like, forced to work with. But in this show, he acts like Quinlan Boss is some kind of a friend of his, despite the fact that we didn't establish any of this. Like, did the writer get confused? Did Did he think he was referencing the EU version of Quinlan Boss instead of the TCW version?
It wouldn't surprise me given that this show also mentions Jabim. So there is that. So that could be the case, or it could be that the writer thought that Quinlan and Obi-Wan were friends after the events of TCW. I don't know. So who knows about that? Luke, what do you think of all this?
I think that the Orabesh messages in the back of that warehouse are kind of cool, and I do like Tala as a character.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't, because here's the thing. I'm getting really tired of this trope with Imperial officers getting disillusioned by the Empire and trying to help the rebels or the Jedi type of thing. Why can't we have a Imperial character that really believes the Empire is good and sticks with the Empire to the end? Why do we have to have these Imperial officer or stormtrooper who constantly has to, be a spy for the Jedi inside or be a secret rebel spy? Like, why do we have this plot being overused, like repeated multiple times?
It's I just want to say very quickly, it's not the fact that she's a disillusioned Imperial officer that I like. I just like the way that she is as a person.
Yeah. To be fair, I don't blame too much the character for that freaking overused plot idea in Disney Star Wars. I blame it more on Disney itself for doing it several times, with the most obvious example of that being Iden Versio. So, especially with that false marketing that shit did for the campaign. So, I don't blame it too much on her. I blame it more on the canon as a whole. So, yeah. So I do like Tala as a character. Yeah, obviously it kind of sucks that they're once again using that same Imperial turned good guy later on, but it is what it is. So at this point it seems to be run the course, which kind of stinks. So yeah, but other than that, it was pretty cool. Obviously, the references that this show gives that sound like they're for the expanded universe, except that there's no expanded universe here, so it's more like it creating its own references. Javin in particular, the last time Javin was mentioned was in a Force Awakens beginner game from 2015-16, and it was just a quick mention, so not really anything. So yeah. We'll have to see what they do with these references later on. So there is that. So yeah. Anything else to say on this one?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, now, oh god. Okay, so when Obi-Wan, Tala, and Leia are trying to get to the spaceport in the night, there's a problem, and let's just say that Obi-Wan sensed a disturbance in the Force. And that disturbance is making him not feel very good. And it's because it's none other than Darth Vader. Yes, Darth Vader is in Maboso, and he's literally hunting Obi-Wan Kenobi. Yes, so if you guys thought we were going to see Darth Vader hunting Obi-Wan personally much later in this show, you're mistaken. So, yeah. So yeah, it's Darth Vader with the Inquisitors and the Stormtroopers behind him. And Darth Vader is just, like, terrorizing the civilians, killing someone random like a freaking maniac bully for no reason. Like, he isn't rushing to go for Obi-Wan. I don't know. Like, what is he? Is he fucking, what, Freddy Krueger? Just or Borges or what? Just randomly killing people? Like,
I wonder how Palpatine or the Imperials would justify this. Like, someone will ask, like, Your Highness, why is Lord Vader going around killing innocent people in this planet? And Palpatine's like, like, what will be his justification for this?
I don't know. He'll probably just say, it's so he can release his anger and dive deeper into the dark side. I think.
He wouldn't say that in public, though.
Yeah, that's true. So in that case, no, I don't know what would be his reason. Yeah, it's just stupid. And the stupidity doesn't end there. So Obi-Wan then tells Tala to get Leia to Alderaan while he distracts Vader. Oh yes, yes, this is real. And as they head into the transport through the tunnels, Obi-Wan flees to a nearby quarry, and Vader is pursuing him. So as Obi-Wan is heading to the quarry, he is pretty much face to face with Darth Vader. Darth Vader already ignites his lightsaber, and Obi-Wan is throwing his lightsaber, but doesn't ignite it, and instead, he just runs away immediately! And I can already tell this is pissing off Luke.
Can I just highlight one really stupid thing here? Obi-Wan runs away twice before the showdown that happens. By the third time, Vader pops up out of nowhere, and on both of the previous on both of the got ya moments preceding the duel, Vader just lets Obi-Wan run away, for fuck's sake.
Maybe we should later tackle the justification people give.
We'll get into them. First, let's finish this recounting what happens. So yeah, Vader is like, gotcha, twice. And then they finally fight, and they start fighting. And while that fight happens, Leia, apparently she's running with Tala in the tunnels. Leia tells Tala to go help Obi-Wan, while Leia pretty much by herself can reach the ship. And Tala didn't want to do it, but eventually she agrees. So she goes back to help Obi-Wan. And Obi-Wan is basically fighting Darth Vader in a lightsaber duel. Yes, the big showdown that this show has been marketing since its inception, since the casting reveals of Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen. Since that time. And yeah, they're fighting the duel, but turns out the Vader absolutely quickly overpowers Obi-Wan to the point in which he literally gets Obi-Wan running like on his knees, and then he manages to force grip Obi-Wan, forcing him to drop the lightsaber, and then Vader like drops some oil in front of both of them and lights it up and makes Obi-Wan like suffer through the fire. Yeah, die. But then he decides to push Obi-Wan into the crates, turn off the fire, and then he tells some stormtroopers nearby, go and get him. But then the Tala is like in the cliff, shooting the blaster at one of the stormtroopers, and then ignites the fire again. And then the cargo droid from Tala's workshop, who we saw before, he's taking Obi-Wan away from there slowly, and Vader is just standing there watching it. He's like not doing anything. He's not going around it. He's not jumping it over the fire. He's not sending his stormtroopers around or anything. No, he's just standing there doing nothing. And then he turns around and goes back the other way while Obi-Wan, Tala, and the droid are somewhere safe on top of the cliff, I believe. So, yeah, that happens. Oh, and at the end, turns out that the third sister somehow managed to catch up to Leia. And basically, let's just say that Leia's now with the third sister. And that's how the episode ends. Okay, so who wants to tackle this lightsaber duel? Shall I give you the honors, Luke?
Well, might as well get it over with. First off, the fucking got ya moments of Vader being mere meters away from Obi-Wan, saber at the ready, and letting Obi-Wan run away, even though Vader finally has Obi-Wan right where he wants him after a decade of waiting. What sense does that make? What sense does that make? Can someone try and justify this, please?
A common justification people seem to have is like they try to make us look like a cat playing with their prey, like a mouse. Which I say, I don't think Vader would want to waste his time after 10 years finally catching up to Obi-Wan. I think Vader would immediately would want to kill Obi-Wan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
General, before I go on to the next thing, do you want to say something about this?
Well, all I'm gonna say is that, that's one hell of a way to drag the duel. So, yeah.
So, then fast forward to the duel itself. Vader pulls a third Gotya by suddenly appearing out of nowhere, and the duel actually begins. And, I mean, okay, yes, I understand that Obi-Wan has been trying to the damnest to suppress his ability as a Jedi for the past 10 years of his life, but would his Force defenses and his ability as a martial artist really be that shot, even after that long?
Yeah, so the thing I do not understand is this. People try to justify this by saying, well, Obi-Wan hasn't been using the Force nor the lightsaber for 10 years, but you have to remember, Obi-Wan is living in the middle of nowhere in a freaking cave in Tatooine. You know what kind of a place Tatooine is? The type of place where Hutts rule, where Tusken Raiders are there, and freaking Jawas are stealing your parts. So, it's just me, but I think Obi-Wan will be more cautious and has to constantly be on his guard so that these thugs won't attack him or screw him over.
At least using force powers to either do some mind tricks or at least practicing some other force powers. Lightsaber maybe could be understandable that he wouldn't be training his lightsaber skills or something, but the force is like he also has no force defenses of any kind. He literally is almost like a random old man. That's what he is now.
Yeah.
And when you get to the portion of the duel where Vader submerges Obi-Wan in that fire, literally just before doing that, he actually manages to seize Obi-Wan by the neck with force grip, and he even makes Obi-Wan lose his lightsaber in the process. And actually, now that I think about it, if Obi-Wan's force defenses are really that easily penetrable at this stage, why didn't you just exploit that during the first Gotya moment and ram your saber into his chest right then and there, instead of dragging this crap out? Oh, gosh.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Like, there were many instances where Vader could have easily just taken down Obi-Wan, or at least tortured the shit out of him by cutting his limbs or something, but no, it doesn't happen. Like, it's just so stupid. And the worst part is the last part where literally Vader lets him go the final time, letting the droid fucking get away with the body of Obi-Wan. Like, what the fuck are you doing? You should have he's right over there. He's standing there. You can literally do fucking anything. And you let him go. What is this shit? This is like the worst fucking fan fiction that I've ever fucking seen in regards to Obi-Wan vs. Vader. This is what the show has been building up for? It's so stupid. So even excluding continuity, this shit is stupid. It's stupid. It's stupid from a plot standpoint. It's stupid from a character standpoint. It's stupid in Star Wars as a whole. Like, this is just absolutely stupid. That would be like saying, in Halo 3, like Master Chief is like facing off he's like just seeing in front of him a base of Covenant that they're torturing UNSC forces, and they're literally taking them to some other ship torture him, and Chief is like just standing there in front, just letting them go, not even doing fuck all. That would be the same type of situation. That's how stupid this is. It's so stupid.
Yeah, so you finally met the man you wanted to kill for 10 years, but you're wasting your freaking time. Like, what are you doing? Kill him! What are you doing? Why are you wasting your time?
Or at least cut his limbs, or burn the shit out of him to the point that nothing's left. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
The justification some morons give is like, Vader is disappointed that Obi-Wan wasn't the man he used to be or something. So, like, he wanted Obi-Wan to return after he's more powerful or something. Where did that came from?
Well, gentlemen, there is a little bit of a problem with the scenarios that you've hypothesized just there.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem with both of your respective hypotheses is that they incorporate two key ingredients called realism and intelligence. Two things that are thrown completely out the window with this particular duel, because of a little device in the world of fiction by the name of plot armor.
And contrivance.
Yeah. So, indeed. Oh, and let's also not forget, of course, that we cannot do shit to Obi-Wan or Vader, because that means episode 4 is going to have to be massively retconned, even though they already kind of retconned it.
And that is the point. They should not have met during this time. They should not have met until episode 4. That's the point. You don't do some stupid justification to constantly have Obi-Wan alive and Vader not killing Obi-Wan. You're not supposed to have them meet until episode 4. The intention was clear in episode 4 when Darth Vader said, when I left you, I was the learner, but now I'm the master. You know what? Lucas's intention was clear. Mustafar was their last meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
last meeting.
Actually, just very quickly with that. Oh, crap, I've completely forgotten where I was going to go with that. I've completely forgotten the point I was going to make.
I'll make one right now. Yeah, in regards to when I left you, I was but the learner, now I am the master. You know, now that we have this duel, then that means... And we see... Vader here is dominating the shit out of Obi-Wan. How is he the learner when he's literally being the fucking god against the freaking poor old man there that can't do shit? Isn't it the other way around now?
Yeah, I've actually just remembered what I was going to say now. So, the main selling point of this show, that being another Obi-Wan Vader confrontation, that shouldn't happen, period. But if they absolutely had to do it, why make the selling point of this show lose its cool factor only 3 episodes in? Because this duel was so short that I honestly think at some point we're going to see them battle again. Which, as already mentioned, we've already seen what Obi-Wan is capable of at this point in his rusty state, and it wasn't compelling to watch in any way, shape, or form. It was just mind-boggling. And, you know, I mean, well, okay, a couple of days ago, something was confirmed that we'll probably comment on once we finish talking about the episode itself, and it wouldn't surprise me if this is the justification that they're going to use for why Obi-Wan was so weak here, but it just... the selling point has already lost its gusto, so where's the value in seeing another rematch, which would further invalidate the significance of when I met you I was but the learner, but now I'm the master?
I mean, what are they gonna do? Are they gonna have some weird plot point where Obi-Wan magically gets a power-up and he somehow defeats Vader? Because I'm pretty sure they're gonna have this. Obi-Wan is gonna somehow defeat Vader because, you know, he was the learner and now he's the master, blah blah blah. So, like, I'm trying to wonder what kind of plot convenience you're gonna have so that Obi-Wan becomes capable enough to beat Vader again. Like, what is this?
I don't know. They'll probably pull a page from the sequel trilogy and make it so that Obi-Wan just gets a few days of training and he's now just as powerful as he was in episode 3. You know, kind of like how Rey did it when she got zero fuck all training, and yet she was more powerful than anybody else. Christ, they probably pull that shit. Which is so, well, holy shit, then this show definitely is pulling sequel trilogy levels of awfulness, which is saying something. So, yeah, it's just... yeah, this shit's stupid, and there's some people that make some bullshit arguments. One of the arguments is that Vader let Obi-Wan go so that he could find the allies that are helping Obi-Wan, so that way Vader and the Empire can track these allies, kind of like how in A New Hope, Vader and Tarkin let the Falcon go. Like that.
You know, that's really wrong, because if you watch Rebels, the reason why Vader wanted to find Ahsoka is like so that he has a higher chance of finding Obi-Wan.
Skywalker's apprentice could lead us to other lost Jedi.
Such as Kenobi.
Perhaps.
Which only makes this duel and all the comments trying to defend this duel even more bullshit, because if Vader really wanted to, I guess, find Alice and everything, then Rebels ain't supporting that shit, so that's pretty much out the window. And then there's some other people saying that Vader let Obi-Wan escape because he let him go on purpose, and that we don't have all the context of the full show. We need the other 3 episodes.
No, just kill him. Kill him. What are you doing? Why are you wasting time? I mean, I know chronologically and canonically Obi-Wan should not die, but then keep a justifiable reason for Vader not to kill Obi-Wan. Oh wait, there is no reason.
There is none, yeah. And then another person was like saying that, oh, Vader, you already mentioned that he lost the motivation to fight Obi-Wan, and then he wants to beat him at his prime. It's like, that's stupid, because if that was true, then again, Rebels doesn't support that, because Vader wanted to find Obi-Wan and just straight up kill him no matter what. So the fact that Vader's just let him go so that Obi-Wan can become stronger, no, that ain't happening. And of course, realistically, it will not happen that Obi-Wan gets stronger in a matter of days, especially with Leia in the hands of the Empire. So that ain't happening. So yeah. And the other reason is that Vader's conflicted and spares Obi-Wan for now? What?
No, he wants to kill him. He got burnt. His legs. His entire legs were burned and got his balls destroyed or something, I guess.
Basically, his entire body was burned. So, yeah.
He would want to kill Obi-Wan. He wouldn't be conflicted. He would be spending his 10 years wanting to kill Obi-Wan, waiting for that one day where he finally meets Obi-Wan and have his revenge. He wouldn't be conflicted.
Yep. Indeed. And another argument I saw is that apparently Vader letting Obi-Wan go is similar to how Maul pretty much let Obi-Wan escape, because basically there were several times that Obi-Wan was like hanging off the pit or about to get destroyed by Maul, but then somehow Maul wasn't able to do it. So it's similar to how Vader is here, which that's like out of all the. Look, do you mind reminding us all the moments that Maul fought Obi-Wan, and well, Obi-Wan escaped?
Okay, so all of those occasions were in TCW. First off, you have the season 4 finale episode, Revenge. Maul is resurrected by Mother Talzin, or rather given new legs by Mother Talzin after Savage brings him back to Dathomir, and they go to the planet Redonia, and Maul slaughters the civilians of that planet in an attempt to lure Obi-Wan out, which works, and Savage and Maul actually manage to catch Obi-Wan off guard very easily, and they take him aboard a massive cargo ship, and literally the reasons that Obi-Wan escaped was kind of a 60-40 split between help from Ventress and his own skill as a swordsman. Mm-hmm. So that's that. Then you get the season 5 premiere episode Revival, where Obi-Wan and Adi Gallia dueled Maul and Savage on Florum after after Adi Gallia was killed. Obi-Wan took her lightsaber and brandished it alongside his own when dueling Savage and Maul in the dark tunnels of Florum, and that's actually the only time out of the 3 where Obi-Wan's survival was due to skill, like, first and foremost, because he schooled Savage and Maul handily during that particular fight. Then we come to the being saved by the Night Owl Mandalorians, which was during the Maul Mandalore arc of Season 5. And that, I would say, was almost entirely luck, because Obi-Wan had taken Anakin's signature ship of the Clone Wars show, that being the Twilight, to save Duchess Satine. However, some of the Mandalorian soldiers under Maul's command actually disabled the ship by firing a rocket into one of the engines or against the Twilight's hull or something like that. And Obi-Wan and Satine were kind of disoriented by the crash, and that allowed Maul very easily to penetrate Obi-Wan's guard, because he was already sort of destabilized, if you like, and not quite ready, because, of course, again, he and Satine had just survived a ship crash, or rather an explosion, and then Maul killed Satine to make Obi-Wan feel a hint of the pain that he did for all those years on Lothar Minor, and the only reason Obi-Wan wasn't shoved into a cell was because Bo-Katan and company were out there posing a threat to Maul's portion of the Death Watch, and they saved him. So, yeah, Maul was actually being proactive, or at least a damn sight more proactive than Vader is here.
Let's also not forget that Maul and Savage were busy fighting Sidious in that Mandalore battle. So that's another reason why they couldn't face off Obi-Wan by the time he was escaping. So because they were dealing with somebody worse than Obi-Wan. So, yeah. So that said, all those times that Maul had Obi-Wan escape from his grasp were not because Maul literally was standing there doing nothing. It was because he was either outsmarted, beaten, or luck pretty much saved Obi-Wan's ass. That's what happened.
You know, not that Obi-Wan and Maul's encounter in the first place after episode 1 made sense in the first place. Like, what kind of defense is that? You try to justify one nonsensical thing by mentioning the other nonsensical thing?
Well, I mean, in Disney Star Wars, Maul did survive episode 1. It's not like in the EU where, he was confirmed dead. But, yeah, his resurrection has always been nonsensical, yeah. But even if we buy it and compare Maul versus Obi-Wan with Vader versus Obi-Wan in this show, like at least Maul actually did try to, at least was actually doing shit in order to either kill Obi-Wan or torture the shit out of him. Vader didn't do fuck all. Like, literally was doing nothing. And it's just so stupid how Vader was doing fuck all in this show. It was just utterly stupid. Stupid. It almost makes Vader in the Marvel comics better in a way. Because that Vader would at least go on a fucking killing spree for Obi-Wan and would actually kill him. So that's something. So yeah. And this duel has unfortunately caused a few problems to this show. Mainly that its main selling point is now gone, as mentioned before. It's now gone. It's lost its hype, it's lost its luster, and if they do it again, it's not going to be the same. In fact, it will just feel like a fucking repeat that we already got. And it also makes the plot pretty predictable, because now Obi-Wan has to rescue Leia again from the freaking Empire, the Inquisitors. So he's going to have to do that, and then he's going to have to drop her on Alderaan, and he goes to Tatooine. So, yeah, the show at this point has been ruined by just this last third that completely removed its biggest selling point and made the plot more predictable. And who knows, maybe this show will pull a Book of Boba Fett and give us a new villain out of fucking nowhere. Because apparently this show hasn't done enough of copying Book of Boba Fett's mistakes. First, it freaking copies the third episode of both shows being shit, the worst one. And now I wouldn't be surprised if they copy the idea of, that show had a new villain at the end, then let's do it in ours. I would not be surprised. So, Yeah, that would be something. Yeah. Anything else to mention on this duel?
Not that I know of.
Luke, anything?
It was three things: premature, disappointing, and most of all, nonsensical.
So that's the episode, and so now we go into... Actually, there's one quick thing we need to discuss. So now that we know how the show is going to go, thanks to this last third, apparently we got confirmation a day or two ago that the Kenobi show is getting a second season. That's already in development.
Man, these fools don't know when to quit.
This is what I was referring to earlier, guys, in case you were wondering. Yeah, it's looking like we're going to get a second season of this. And this is actually the big reason for why I think Obi-Wan and Vader are going to have yet another rematch. I think what they're going to do is, now that we know Kenobi Season 2 is going to be a thing, I think what they're going to do is have episodes 4 through 6 of this season be Obi-Wan rescuing Leia again, and then Season 2 is probably going to focus on Obi-Wan retraining to get some degree of his Clone Wars level skill as a combatant back, and preparing to face Vader yet again.
Oh.
I mean, General, do you think that's a fair... Do you think that's an educated guess as to what might happen, or do you think I'm reaching a bit too far?
I think it is an educated guess. My thought was actually that maybe we will get that second duel in this one season, and then season 2 would probably be what we actually signed up for in this show to begin with, the life of Obi-Wan in Tatooine. That's actually kind of my idea of what it was, but I think yours seems to be closer to what we're actually going to get.
Or what if, because bear in mind this is season 2, what if Kenobi gets renewed for a third season or a fourth season and they make Vader a recurring villain like what you get in a cartoon show?
Oh, that's the same thing with, this kind of mirrors TCW, where, in the show, in the movie, it seems like Grievous and Obi-Wan never met before. Revenge of the Sith. And, like Grievous saying, like, "You fool, I've been training your arts by Count Dooku." Yeah, I mean, that's cool and all, but why would that matter in that context if Obi-Wan already know Grievous? So, Obi-Wan seems to have another antagonist that he's not supposed to meet until the next movie appearing. Keep fighting him. Like, first we got Darth Maul, who should have probably stayed dead after episode 1, somehow returning. And then we have Grievous, who he probably should have not fought before episode 3, constantly appearing in TCW. And then we also have Darth Vader, who he should not have fought until episode 4. Like, what is up with Obi-Wan and his antagonists constantly appearing in the wrong place at the wrong time?
Crappy writing.
Yeah, I was going to say that. It's crappy writing indeed, especially when it comes to Disney Star Wars continuity, even though TCW also was guilty of it. So...
But as if the Obi-Wan versus Vader quote-unquote confrontation wasn't disappointing and nonsensical enough, then we come to the actual ending of this episode.
Yeah, where Leia's now taken by the third sister.
To explain why this is so abominably stupid.
Well, first of all, the tunnel seemed to be a one-way path. So how the third sister managed to get around all of that and get to the very end where Leia was getting to, that makes no sense in itself. So that's one. The other bullshit reason as to this happened is that, well, it's just another excuse for this show to pad out its length. Yeah. Which is ironic because the show is supposed to be the shortest live action show, and yet half of it already feels like padding.
Yeah. Half of it feels like padding, and it's already been renewed for a second season before its first season is even finished.
How do you do that?
And also, I could be wrong, but aren't the creators of Kenobi sort of going back on their word? Because I swear that they said these 6 episodes that we're getting right now were all we were going to get.
Oh, actually, you're right. Look. So I checked the internet. Okay, so the quote is that in a recent EW cover story for the series, there was mention of a possible season 2. And on one hand, director Deborah Chow stuck to the limited series angle, saying it was definitely conceived as a limited series and it is one big story for beginning, middle, and end. The approach has always been that it is one full story. But then Kathleen Kennedy apparently said recently that it's certainly something we talk about, mainly because everybody came together and had such an incredible time. Ewan had an incredible time, Hayden had an incredible time, so certainly from that point of view, everybody involved would love to see this not end, but we have to really spend our time asking the question, why would we do it? If we were to decide to do anything more with the Obi-Wan character, we'd have to really answer the question, why?
Just
Okay.
look, people, just end this. Like, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna extend the Saving Leia plot to another season?
Are you gonna have Obi-Wan retrain in season 2 and then have another battle between him and Vader, which will actually be what we signed up for in the first place?
Oh, Christ. It's so fucking stupid that they have a second season and the first season hasn't even ended. Like we've seen it several times in Disney Star Wars shows. Mandalorian released its first season, but season 2 was already planned and even confirmed to be in development. Granted, being the first season was pretty good, so it did warrant the second season, so that made sense. But this here, this has yet to prove itself to be capable of doing a good second season, and from what we've seen, it's one half of it. It's not going well at all. It's just it feels like absolute padding. It's gonna be horrible. Like imagine if this gets a second season and then Book of Boba Fett decides to get a second season again. God, Christ, as if. Oh my God, this is so stupid. So yeah, look, your answer to the previous question, yes, Deborah Chow did say at one point that it was a limited series, one story, beginning, middle, and end. But it seems they want to change their mindset on that.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say this now. I do not feel inclined to give another season of this show a watch. The 3 episodes that we're gonna get over the next 3 weeks, I will watch those, but yeah, for me to watch a second season, you would have to drug me with Lord knows how many death sticks before you do that. Because these 3 episodes, particularly this one, were so disappointing and so crap that I do not think I could muster any sort of mental resilience to watch another season of this show.
Hey, it could be worse. It could be the Halo TV show.
The Halo TV show is with the greatest of respects, I have no idea exactly what you mean by that because I'm not familiar with Halo. So
I said that because this show is already one of the worst of Disney Star Wars. But apparently the Halo TV show is somehow worse than even this, if you can even believe it. Like, it's worse than that. I talked to the Django a few days ago. He told me that the Kenobi show is number 2 in his top 5 worst TV shows of 2022, with number 1 being Halo. So if you literally are right below Halo in terms of being the worst of 2022's TV shows, then you definitely fucked up. You fucked up royally. So, yeah. That's what I gotta say on that. And I do feel bad for, Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen after many years finally reuniting and doing some stuff of Star Wars together, and this is what we get. It does stink.
And, yeah, I think another thing actually that has supported Obi-Wan Kenobi getting a second season, despite only being 3 episodes into this one, is that if you look at a lot of like Google user reviews and YouTube reviews from more casual Star Wars fans, that fold of the fan base just seemed to really be enjoying it.
They're enjoying it simply for the prequel trilogy fan service.
Yeah, I know, and I think that's also a big factor in why this show is already getting another season.
Ugh. That ain't good on my end. Which explains why Mandalorian is still the best TV show on Disney Star Wars, because it did its first season, and even if it was a story focused on Grogu, it still was a story that had its vision from beginning to end. It had its characters doing stuff, and there weren't any humongous continuity issues that would absolutely wreck the Disney Star Wars timeline compared to here and even Book of Boba Fett. Like, that show was able to do things pretty well. But then the other live action shows, they have no fucking idea what to do. And they try something in the first half and fail at it. They give up halfway there. They give up their selling point halfway into the show, and they decide to whatever the fuck they wanted in the last half of it, which fucking stinks. And yeah, that shouldn't be a thing.
What is it with the inconsistency and the ineptitude of this show's writing?
Oh, the point is simple. You put Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christian in the show, and brain function stops.
I mean, I don't
That's
blame.
it.
I mean, I don't blame them at all. I mean, I definitely want to see them do some Star Wars stuff, especially if it's together or even separate. I could see it, but yeah, if the directing and the writing is not there, or is very, very shoddy and crappy, then I'd probably prefer that they don't do it, because I don't really want their names to be dragged down because of the faults of these incompetent writers and even director. Like, that's what I want to see, to be honest. That their names are not getting dragged down because of this shit. So, yeah.
Is there anything more in the episode to discuss now? Because I think that after that, it's just the end credits.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So let's go into the conclusion, guys. So who goes first?
May I go first on this one?
Yeah.
Thank you. This was extremely disappointing. In fact, this episode was so bad to where I would say if anyone out there is watching this video and hasn't watched the show yet, granted, that's extremely, extremely unlikely, but if you've not watched the show yet, I honestly don't think you're missing much if you haven't watched any of this show yet. In fact, it would probably be of benefit to you to avoid it, because the writing and the extremely out-of-character behavior that we see of all these long-established characters in the episodes we've received so far is just baffling. None of the long-established characters who appear in this show are their authentic selves, and unfortunately, if this episode doesn't seal that fact, I don't know what does. So, point is, if you haven't watched this episode of Kenobi, or you haven't watched the show at all, well, okay, if you're watching the show, then you kind of have to watch this episode out of obligation. But if you're not particularly fussed about Kenobi, stay away from this crap.
Mm-hmm.
I'm done.
Okay, Doan?
These past 3 episodes were very disappointing. The story was incoherent, and there are so many plot convenience and armor that it makes you wonder, like, why did you write it this way? I doubt the episodes we get in the future will be any different, but At least I hope it's gonna be better than the first 3. So there's that.
In my case, well, let's just say that the Kenobi show started mixed on my mind, like had some good things but some bad things. And I thought episode 1 probably had the most plot convenience I kind of saw with Leia's kidnapping, but no, this episode takes the cake in that, and it is officially the worst episode in this entire show, and the episode that single-handedly ruined this show for good. I don't know how you did it, but you somehow did it. So, yeah. So this show at this point it's a dumpster fire. Avoid it. Honestly, if you want better stories on what Obi-Wan is doing in between episodes 3 and 4, just go read the Kenobi book. Read the first 2 Last of the Jedi books. Read Life and Legend of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Do any of those things than watching this show, because this show ain't worth it at this point. It's just fan fiction at this point for people that just want to see crazy shit happen that makes no sense. So, yeah. And I'll still keep an eye on what happens in this show, but as of right now, not really intrigued or even amused at what's happening. So, yeah. So anyway, that's the conclusion for this podcast. So, we'll see you guys on the next State of Star Wars video. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.